Hey, and welcome back to Beaufort Business Banter, where we take a little time every week getting better acquainted with local business and charity leaders across the Beaufort area. I'm Will McCullough, and my wife Dina and I have been involved full-time in the local real estate market for over the last 25 years, and we're the owners and brokers in charge of Century 21 Coastal Town Realty, located at 83 Sam's Point Road on Ladies Island, and we are the sponsors for that program. So today, speaking of local business leaders, we've got Scott Bowman with us. And Scott is a director for the Beaufort Regional Chamber of Commerce, and we're going to spend some time getting to know you a little bit better today, so I'm looking forward to it. So before we hear about the chamber and what y'all offer to everybody around here, which, by the way, full disclosure in advance, I'm a big fan. We've been members of the chamber for a very long time, and it's been very beneficial to us. I think it does great things for the community. But we're going to talk about that here in just a little bit. Let's get to know you a little better first. So,
all right.
So what's your favorite color? No, I'm joking. No. It's blue. So I was joking with Scott before this. I was going to throw some funny questions at him, but I'm not. So how long have you been in the Beaufort area? And I'm gonna put a caveat in there. I describe the Beaufort area, and this is just a personal definition, as from the Broad River to Fripp to out by Sheldon and everywhere in the middle. That's what I personally call the Beaufort area. Our viewers might disagree, but that's me. How long have you personally been in this neck of the woods?
So first of all, thank you for having me out here. This is great. This is awesome. But I've been in the Beaufort area for about 9 years. This September coming up will be 9 years.
Okay.
I moved here from Bahrain, actually. I was overseas in the desert for 3 years, living and loving life out there, and moved to the Beaufort area with a friend, and I fell in love with it and never left.
Excellent, excellent. Well, that's not unusual. I always say Beaufort gets its hooks in you. So a lot of people, being a Marine and prior military, a lot of folks with my background will come to this area, they'll be stationed here, and maybe they'll go somewhere else and they'll find out, you know what, I really like that place. Once you visit, if it's for you, you're going to come back. Yes, and that leads into what I think is probably a really good next question. Obviously, now you're director for the Beaufort Regional Chamber.
For membership.
For membership, okay. But prior to that, I'm sure you've done some other things being in Bahrain. So tell us a little bit about your occupational background.
So I did 22 and a half years in the Navy. Excellent. And that's where I retired from the Navy, was in Bahrain. Did my last 3 years there. Moved here to Beaufort. I really didn't know what I wanted to do. Okay. You know, everybody says, what do you want to be when you grow up? I really don't want to grow up. Yeah. But I was a corrections officer here in Beaufort for a year. That was too much like work. So I decided, let me try and find something else. And then I actually went to work for Toyota right here at Stokes Toyota on Trash Parkway for about 6.5 years. And I just left there about 4 months ago to go ahead and work with the chamber.
That is fantastic. And that actually, another good segue, because that leads into, because you already answered this kind of, but I'm going to press even further. I was going to ask, what's something, because a lot of people know you and you're in a high visibility position now, but what is something that maybe folks who are watching right now might not know about you? What's something that nobody else knows about you that you want to share publicly?
Being 50 years old, I went a long time thinking that I didn't need a college education. And I was really never the let's go to school kind of person. That's why I joined the military. Just wanted to serve and just didn't want to follow on. But I'm almost at the completion of my bachelor's. I started back at school, and in December I will graduate with my bachelor's in business administration with a concentration in nonprofit management.
Excellent, excellent. And now, if you don't mind me prying, where from what entity are you gaining that? Where are you going to?
Southern New Hampshire University. It's all online. They help out the working older people like myself with a family, so it's a lot easier than having to try and figure out my schedule to actually go to brick and mortar, classes.
Yeah, that's great. Well, I think nowadays with the way they can do education online, I think it's so advantageous for so many people to be able to capitalize on that. That's great. So,
absolutely.
Excellent. One more easy question for you. Sure. Well, maybe not that easy, because this is a broad answer. I mean, you could probably answer this a lot of different ways. You got 22 years in the Navy, you've done a lot of things, and now you're doing this great position. But if you could just take one thing and share with folks that you consider personally a key to your success that you would want to pass on to people, what would that be?
There's so many different things, but if I can combine two, I would definitely say the hard work and dedication, but also do what you tell somebody you're going to do.
Okay.
If you tell somebody you're going to call them back, call them back. If you tell somebody you're going to do X, Y, or Z, do X, Y, or Z. Because trust is huge. And people want to do business with people they trust.
Yeah.
So
Excellent.
hard work, dedication, and do what you're supposed to do.
And I can only hypothesize that your strong military background of accountability has probably laid the foundation for that being such a strong secret to success, as well as various realms of business and whatnot. So that's great. Well, like I said, that gives us a little background on yourself. You represent management and stuff for the Beaufort Regional Chamber. You want to take, there's no timer going. You can go as short or as long as you want. But why don't you tell us, a lot of business people watch this thing, and that's why we're here, is to promote local business, local charities, local folks who are doing things to positively impact the community, no matter in what form it may be. What can you tell us about the chamber and what it has to offer and what you'd like to share?
Well, I honestly really didn't know what the chamber really did until about 6 months ago, when I started looking at the chamber and how things are ran as far as with the community. There is such a strong presence and a willingness to want to help people succeed, and small businesses especially. Big businesses as well, but the small businesses are the backbone of this community. No doubt about it. And
I would say that small businesses are the backbone of our entire nation, and you multiply that from every community, because you're right, because the Beaufort one's fantastic. So I'm fully on board. I'm with you.
So to see how we advocate for small businesses, to see how we're there to stop in and see how they're doing, what we could do to help them, the advertising that we do with our e-flash that goes out every Wednesday touches somewhere around 2,000 inboxes virtually, and has about a 42% open rate. And
they're not just inboxes that are just randomly spammed. They are 2,000 other small business owners locally. I mean, I get that stuff like, hey, did you know this business was doing this? Maybe you should check it out. It lets me be aware of what other small businesses are doing, and be able to support them and see something that might impact positively my clients. I mean, it's a powerful thing. So, okay, sorry for interrupting.
No, you're good.
I have drank the Kool-Aid. You guys, y'all are fantastic. So go ahead.
And that goes out every Wednesday. But on top of that, every Tuesday, my boss, Megan, sends out a newsletter of what's really going on, within the local community, the local government type things, and, just keeping everybody in the community in the know, which helps them to also promote their businesses and figure out what's going on around them and how it would affect their business as well.
Excellent.
So it's been great. Just getting out and about, meeting people and finding out how they've started their business, what they expect out of the chamber, what they expect out of me as the membership director. These things are just absolutely amazing, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, I will say again that obviously I am biased. I am a big fan of the chamber here locally. Y'all have been very good to us, and it's not us because we're special. You're good to all of these businesses. And, in today's world, there's so much social media and click like and do this. And that's great. I mean, that's part of life nowadays and part of business. But you can't push away the actual getting to know people. Right. And the chamber has been great to that. You're learning supporting businesses where, hey, you know what? I have a problem. I need a plumber. Oh, for one of my clients. Oh, I know this guy and I trust him because I've met him and got to know him in his business through the chamber or whatever. It's just a fantastic organization. And all of those things, I mean, we're talking about business, but those businesses serve the local consumer that helps our local people be served better through those businesses. So the chamber's a fantastic entity, and I'm really glad you came today, and hopefully we'll get a couple extra people. So
that would be even better.
This is great. Opinions vary because we haven't seen this come out, but we're doing our best. But so obviously now we got to turn this thing around a little bit. We do real estate. That's what we do. We've done it for a very long time here. So I have no idea what you're going to ask me, but throw me something out real estate related and let me see what I can do with it.
So real estate related.
Make it easy. It's gotta be like easy. Like
absolutely. So how are the interest rates affecting the market?
Okay. A very good question. And in short, they are impacting it in a horrible way. I mean, to be frank, rates. So let me paint a picture, and I'm going to speak in generalities. Our hyper-local market remains strong. And what I mean by that, if you put your home on the market today, you're still going to get top dollar. Homes are continuing to appreciate, continuing to sell in a timely manner, especially if they're well marketed and priced right. And once again, prices aren't going down, they're going up. The flip side of that is that there's low inventory. And the reason we have low inventory, and I'm just speaking in my opinion, so take that for what it's worth, which is probably very little. I always tell people I threw out my crystal ball in 2008, by the way, because we've done this a long time. But those rates being so high right now, the reason those rates are so high is because the Fed decided to try to tamp down inflation by making it harder and more painful to borrow money. And that's it. So by doing that, people are less likely to buy big ticket things, and that brings inflation down. That's the theory. In practice, it's just painful for everybody. And so, we can talk politics as much as we want. But in a nutshell, because rates are so high right now, they're in the sevens. And one thing before I go further, people often say, well, when I bought my first house 20 years ago, they were 8, they were 9, they were 10. And me too. My first house, I think, was like 9%. But you know what? That home 30 years ago was an $80,000 home. That same exact home in Pinewood in Beaufort right now would sell for nearly $400,000. So the point is, that higher rate means a much higher payment every month. Sure. The same payment that would have been somebody, 2 years ago, $2,000 a month is now $3,000 a month. For the same exact cost of the home, just the rates make the interest higher. Right. So because of that, folks who are living in homes now that are thinking about selling are hesitant to do so, because even though they're going to make some serious good capital because of this area is on the map and in demand, they're going to sell at a high price, but they're going to have to buy something and have a high payment. So a lot of folks are kind of sitting on the side right now, waiting for rates to kind of drop before they want to sell. And since less people are selling right now, but we still have the same buyer demand, those prices are still where they are. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Yep.
And where this is really hurting, the big fiscal engine that drives our local real estate market is active early retirees. People in their 50s to 70s, not retirees from like a geriatric perspective, like Florida, right. Folks who still have a lot of life left in them, sure. But are looking for the next chapter, maybe final chapter of being active, maybe starting a small business. Those folks are selling their home in Ohio or whatever. They've got a big chunk of cash and they're going to maybe pay cash for a home. So those are the ones that are still continuing to buy. Right. The problem is the young kids, and I don't mean kids in a negative way. I mean that as a term of endearment, but the young folks who are trying to buy their first home, young military folks or young couples, sure. Or however you do it, they are now competing with those folks, and they're paying, high rates and things like that. So they're getting kind of pushed out and beat out by some of these people with deeper pockets. So if you're a seller, things are still selling and selling well. If you're a first-time buyer, it's competitive with them and you're paying more. So, but the thing is, everybody needs a roof. And the problem with that is if they're not going to buy, which they should, because things continue to go, it's always better to pay your own mortgage than pay somebody else's, right. Especially in the long term in an area like this where people just want to be. The catch is if you're not going to buy, then you're going to rent. Well, rent is, worse. I mean, once again, I'm speaking anecdotally as a layman, but rent's high too. So housing costs overall are extremely high. And if you trace it back to its core, in my opinion, it's mostly because of the artificial inflation of interest rates to tamp down inflation to make it more painful for people to buy money, to loan money. So once again, remember I said I threw my crystal ball out in 2008,
right.
But I would hypothesize that if and when we see rates drop down into the 5s, 5.99 or whatever, right. You're going to probably see a flood of property come on the market. And a lot of people enter, and that's going to cause even more appreciation. So Take that for what it's worth. And I could obviously talk about this all day, but I hope that somewhere in there answers your question.
Absolutely. Because, and it makes a lot of sense as well. And, you talk about the retirees that come down here and the younger generation that they say really can't afford to live here and things like that. And we're trying to look out for that younger generation as well. Mm-hmm. We just started up the young professionals again, which, we're not putting an age limit on it because we'd like to have the older people like myself come out and be able to mentor some of these younger people. And we have in Beaufort what's called the missing middle, which is 24 to 55 age range, which they feel that they can't afford to live here. As much as they want to be here, they feel like they can't afford to live here.
You know where and we're going off on a tangent here, but I'm just no, this is a good tangent. That missing middle you said in the Beaufort area, I don't think that's exclusive to the Beaufort area. I think that is nationwide. And I think what allows folks in this wonderful land we live in called America, America is the land of opportunity. And that opportunity often presents itself in entrepreneurship. No matter what your background is, no matter what your history, if you have a dream and pursue it, you can often do that through the vehicle of self-employment, ingenuity, and hard work. And that is best defined as entrepreneurship and small business, which takes us back full circle to who you are and why you're here. So if you are thinking about changing your scenario, wanting to start a business, follow your dreams, get out from the heel of somebody else and do what you want to do, you only get one life to live. I highly recommend you do it. Nobody guarantees your success, but you'll guarantee that you won't ever be on your deathbed someday and say, I wonder what would have happened. Right. So pursue your dreams of your own small business. And if you do that, which you should, talk to the chamber and get yourself on there and help them help you, support you in your growth of your business so you can support the community. I mean, that's it. And that's what erases the middle, is mom and pops and doing your own business. So
I couldn't agree more. Yeah, no, and we love supporting the community, and it makes me feel good to see these businesses grow and thrive, and it's just a really good feeling seeing good things happen to other people.
Excellent. Well, I agree with you. Well, this has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm so glad you accepted my offer to come on this today.
This is an honor that you even asked me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Before we wrap this up, anything else you want to toss in there? No pressure. You don't have to. I'm just making sure I didn't cut you off somewhere or anything like that. Anything you want to mention?
No. Well, the only thing I would say is if you are interested in looking at the chamber, by all means, we do a bunch of networking events, but you can also look at our website, which is beaufortchamber.org. It'll give you a bunch of information. You can email me at sbowman@beaufortchamber.org, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have, big or small.
Excellent. Well, I guess that wraps it up for us. So once again, I'm Will McCullough, and this is Beaufort Business Banter, sponsored by Century 21 Coastal Town Realty, located at 83 Sam's Point Road on Ladies Island. That's us. That's where we are. If you think maybe in the future you'd like to be a guest on the program, just reach out to me. My contact info is on the screen as well. And obviously, if you're thinking about buying, selling, or perhaps pursuing your own career in the local real estate industry, I'm always happy to answer your questions. No pressure whatsoever. Just reach out to me and we'll go from there. So once again, that's it. It was fantastic having you on here today, sir.
Pleasure was all mine. Thank you, sir.
That's a wrap.